Let me just start by talking a little bit about the upcoming live album. So was it a challenge at all to go back? I know this was a few years ago that you recorded this, but was it a challenge when you set out to do this to go back and, relearn some of those songs? Because I'm guessing some of those you haven't played in like a long time.
Yeah, some of the songs we have never played ever, like, for example, Make Time for Love. And yeah, it was actually a few years ago. And I called my guitar player, Tommy Powell. We were friends since 87, and he played on the original Triumph and Agony. And I said, hey, Tommy, it's almost 30 years ago that we did Triumph and Agony. And he said, yeah, I know, it feels like yesterday. And then I said, how about we play this whole entire album one time, because we never did. And he said, oh man, I'm waiting 30 years for this phone call. Let's do it. So we started rehearsing. And then it was great to rehearse songs we have never played before. Make Time for Love, we never played, never rehearsed, just in the studio. And some other songs like Kiss of Death and 3 Minute Warning and Cold Cold World, we haven't played in a long time. And actually, I don't even recall playing them live. So it was a lot of fun. And it was like, we were overjoyed that these songs would sound so good, would feel so good. And all the other songs like Oh We Are, Für Immer, I Rule, The Ruins, Metal Tango, East Meets West, we always play in our regular set anyway. So it was a treat. And we were 3 guitar players. So I had 3 guitar players on this. And, but everybody was so cool and nice to give Tommy most of the solos because he played on the original record and, and so it was good. But 3 guitar players, I tell you, there was a lot of, I had to, sing twice as loud and powerful, because everybody was shredding and playing and, it was great. And it was awesome. I love that album so much, and I think every song is special and unique. And of course, like Oh We Are and Für Immer, these songs we always play every single concert. Since '87, we played it in every single festival concert. So it was great, and it was great to celebrate something. And now, it's a while ago we did an America tour, a tour in Spain, played many festivals, Norway Rock, Grass Pop Festival in Belgium, which is a great festival as well, and Sweden Rock. There was the first time we played this entire album, and it had the most magic, and it had great camera guys, like there were 10 cameras, great, technical, they are super. And so every instrument had a great microphone. So when I was going through everything, then Sweden Rock was it. And then we thought, man, it looks so good. Let's do a Blu-ray as well, so it's a live CD and Blu-ray and lots of box sets. Like you can even get a cassette and like a figurine and cardboard. We had one time in '87, we had the biggest album cover in the world. It even made the Guinness Book of World Records. And then we thought, let's do it again. So this one is even twice as big, and marbled vinyl, and all that good stuff. All that good stuff we used to love in the '80s, and of course CD, and you can stream it, all that stuff as well. But since I'm a record collector, I love
Me too.
I love to have it in my hands. Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that, and also seeing the Blu-ray. Because I think having that visual with it'll be really cool too. But
yes, and the atmosphere is so great. The fans are great. They're singing along. I think everything sounds great. And there's a documentary on it as well. So I talk about all this stuff of the original Triumph and Agony. And, we have some live footage on when we toured with Megadeth in '88. And, and I talk about the Doro tour. That was our European tour. And the videos, Oh We Are, Für Immer. And it's cool. It's 90 minutes long, the whole thing. Nice. So I think it came out really good, and can't wait till the fans will hear it and see it.
You said you've been in touch with Tommy ever since the Warlock days. Have you had a chance to work with him before this, or is this kind of the first time that you guys have gone out and done a tour at all?
Actually, he was always hopping on stage when we toured America. And we did actually our last tour together in 2019 in the States when we toured with Metal Church. So we were always kind of doing something together, but we never thought of doing the whole Triumph and Agony. That was new for both of us. And but Tommy, he's still great, still so full of energy, always positive, funny as hell, and it was great to play with him again. And usually in the 80s, he always took me on his shoulders, and
right.
I ripped out all his hair with my studs, with my leather pants, and he didn't say a word, and then he said, "Hey, shall we do it again?" I thought, yeah, let's do it again. So he's wild and and strong, and I love it. And we have the best memories of, like, the making of the original Triumph and Agony. It was like unbelievable. And the time, like 87, oh man, it was like, the peak for metal. And, MTV played all the metal videos, and Headbangers Ball was still going on. It was like everything seemed to work for it. And so it was great to work on the Triumph and Agony live. And
Cool. Was when you went back to these songs again after so many years, did you have like did they have a different meaning to you now compared to when you first wrote them?
Actually, when we wrote them, then we didn't know that it would become so big, and like a song like "Oh We Are," that it would be like our biggest anthem, and it really became a hit. But we had no idea when we were doing it and recording. We just had a lot of fun, and and then many people got involved, which were great. The engineer, his name was Steve Rinkoff. He was a young guy, but very talented. And he went on to be an engineer for Jim Steinman and Meatloaf later on. He was super. And then I had one song, it's Touch of Evil. And I went to my manager and I said, "Hey, I would like to have somebody with a lot of power. I really want to scream, and like, do like, insane vocals." He said, "Oh, I think I have a surprise for you." And he said, "Well, go into the studio." It was Power Station Studio in Manhattan, one of the best studios in the world, and had a lot of great magic, and the sound was awesome. Yeah, and the next day I walked in, and who was there? Cozy Powell. And and I thought, wow, and Cozy said, "Hey, I heard you need some power." And I thought, yeah. And and he had like, wow, we were all watching him, our jaws were like dropped because he had so much energy and power, and his drumsticks, they were like almost as thick as my arms. It was like unbelievable. So that was so cool. And then he played Touch of Evil. He played on some other songs as well. And then one day later, I went in to do my vocals for Touch of Evil, and I screamed so much, and I guess between the energy of Cozy's drumming, and then suddenly there was a ball of lightning coming into the window, into the studio, making a round, and then went out, the window, and like the window was closed, but it went out the window again, and then everybody got so scared, and we finished that night. The engineer, the producer, everybody said, "Oh my God, what did you do?" Like it was weird. And and then later on somebody said, "Hey, you guys could all, that thing would kill you." And I thought, really? And I thought, man, that's so metal. But I'm glad that we were all like, we were surviving that session. So there was a lot of like intense stuff, and it was awesome. And for me, it was my first time in America. I always wanted to go to America, and then I had this little chance doing a little promotion tour for our third album. That was True Steel. First one was called Burning the Witches, then Hellbound, then True Steel. And I just had like 3 days. And after 2 days, I knew I wanted to stay. And, and luckily everything, fell into place and I could stay. And then we did this album. It wasn't planned, but everything worked out. And I felt so good. I felt so free. When we did our third album, True Steel, that was kind of tough because the record company, they put a lot of pressure on the band, that you have to sell, that you have to have big hits, that it's, like radio friendly. And I thought, oh no, radio friendly, that means like cheesy and pop and commercial. And it was tough to make that album. And when we did Triumph and Agony, I felt totally free. And I felt very supported. Everybody said, yeah, Doro, just do what you feel, go for it. And I said, like, sure, yeah, and I thought, oh. So, it felt really good. And and I think that was part of the magic, that everybody, could do their best without any restrictions, without any pressure. And,
That's cool. That's really cool to hear. Because, so many times back then, I remember, bands, especially bands from like Europe or Japan or whatever, would come to America, and then their sound would change because, there was so much pressure to become that American sound. And it's so cool that Triumph of Agony it's still very much a Warlock album and very much a heavy metal album.
Yeah, totally. And and that was so nice that it came out naturally, and that it became a big song, a big hit, like especially All We Are and Für Immer, the one in German, English, it's a little Spanish sentence. Yeah, it was so cool. But I think all the other the other records, it was like it was leading towards Triumph and Agony. Like, of course, you were hoping, that the first record would make it big, but that wasn't so. Second record was Hellbound, but it didn't get a worldwide release. And third album, Twisted, was the first time that people said, oh, let's check it out. There wasn't much support, but a little bit, but enough that I could stay in New York. So, and then it was really cool. And
I wanted to ask a little bit about Cozy because, I didn't even realize that he played on that album until recently when I was researching this. And he's always been one of my favorites. Do you have any other just stories about him? Did you keep in touch with him any after that session?
Actually, not so much, because back then, it was not cool to, to have other musicians like session players. They weren't mentioned on the credits, because like everybody thought, it should be only the band. And I thought, wow, it's cool to have such a special guest, musician of this caliber. But we kind of didn't talk about it. And but our drummer, he was great too, but he was so young, and Cozy was definitely, wow, he was a star, man. And he was such a great guy, really sweet, really, nice and funny. But when he played, wow, we all thought, oh man, it was out of this world. And
when it comes to the Doro material that you transitioned into from that album, from what I understand, there was a legal thing with the name Warlock, and so you kind of were forced to change the name anyways. But how do you feel the music itself evolved from Triumph and Agony to the later Doro albums?
Yeah, I think every album was a little bit different. I always try to to do, to have a little surprise on it, or the first time that I had a guest, that was actually on our Calling the Wild album. That was the first time that I did a duet with Lemmy, and actually we did 2 songs for this album. This was great, and I loved Lemmy so much. I met him in '84 for the first time. We always stayed friends, but that, recording something with somebody you love so much, that was awesome. So I always try to find things to keep it really, really interesting and new. And and sometimes I work with people which the sound was totally intense, and I did a couple of records. For example, one was the Love Me in Black album, and I worked with totally, different people, and it was wow, it was, for example, Die Krupps, a band from Germany.
Yeah.
It was more, industrial, and a great guy in America, Jimmy Harry. And oh man, I loved it. And we wrote the song Love Me in Black together, and he did it, he recorded it, played everything on it, and it was so good. It's one of the fan favorites. And so I tried to have always something special, like, something unexpected. And sometimes, the fans loved it right away. And sometimes some records, many years later, they said, you know what, listening back to this record, I really love this song, or I love this song, or I love this album. And sometimes it was maybe, in the middle of the 90s, it was quite difficult because grunge was so big, and I was not, feeling grunge. So the record company always said, yeah, you have to make another grunge record. And I said, well, it's not in me. It's like, it wouldn't be true. I can't do it. So I experimented with some other sounds. Like, it was a little bit more drum and bass, industrial, like the Machine to Machine album and Love Me in Black. And I loved them. But like, it wasn't like totally diehard metal. It was definitely, like different sounding. So, but I think the songs were awesome. So, yeah. So sometimes, it was like, unexpected. But, as a musician, you just have to take chances, take risks, and, because when you always stay the same, then, it's getting old, and, so you always have to try, stretch a little bit. And I like doing that, even when sometimes, people don't really understand it, but maybe later, it grows on you. And so I always, like, every record is a different adventure. And I must say, and sometimes it's totally like going into a different direction, like going different, like planned. Even on our Triumph and Agony album, I tell you this little story, as I told people before, but I love it because it was so absurd. Like, we had the whole record done and we were really happy, and it was like 9 songs, and that was pretty common in the 80s. And then it was almost done. We just had to do some little tweaks and mixes, and we were so sad that it was all done and over. Sometimes you don't even know what to do with yourself. And I was like sitting there with Joey Ballin, and we were roommates as well, and friends, and he was the producer. And then he said, so what shall we do? You want to go to the movies? No. You want to go have dinner? No. You want to write another song? And I said, yes, I would love to. And he said, well, we don't even have to put it on the record. Just let's write another song. And then he asked me, what kind of song would you like to write? And I said, hey, Joey, I would like to write the most heaviest, meanest, darkest, most brutal, aggressive song in the whole world. And out came this ballad Für Immer. So that was like totally like, wow. And then we recorded it in SIR. There was a big rehearsal room in New York, and we could really feel it has so much magic. And it was half in German, English, a little Spanish sentence. And then I delivered the record, the original Triumph and Agony. And the guys in the record company were really like supportive and, excited. And I said, wow, we love this record. It's awesome. We will support you 100,000%. Just one song got to go. And I thought, oh no, which song should be of the record? And I said, well, the German song, Für Immer, that's like, it's so different, it's not metal and it's in German. And back then, Rammstein didn't exist. Now it's like more, like common, and everybody seems to like it. But they said, no, in German, that's impossible. But I felt it had so much magic. And then we were like, really having big discussions, like loud discussions. And then they said, okay, let's put the song on like the second side, because it was vinyl. Second side, last song. And they were hoping that nobody would listen to it. And then we hopped on tour with Ronnie James Dio. My beloved Ronnie James Dio, I was a big fan of, and it was awesome. And immediately when we went on stage, there were 2 songs. It was All We Are and Für Immer, and that was like, the big hits. And then All We Are was the first video. We filmed it in LA, and a great video guy, Mark Wessica was his name. He did all the big videos and metal bands. And and then we always played like, on heavy rotation. You could really tell it's becoming, big and huge. And then a couple of months later, we hopped on tour with Megadeth. And then Record comes and said, yeah, we need a second single. And, the German song is the second single. I said, really? Even in America? Yes, it's great. And I said, didn't you guys say you wanted to take it off the album? And no, we never said it. And I said, I remember that well. But then we did the second video in Louisiana, actually in Baton Rouge. And it was great. And it was the first time that I guess a German song was like played on TV stations or radio worldwide, and I still love to sing it. Like, and even when people don't understand every word, but they understand the message, and it means forever, like deep inside my heart, forever, and that friendship will never ever end. And I still believe it. When I sing it, I believe every word. It's as true as it was when we wrote it.
Yeah, I can't imagine that album without that song. Like, it's such a pivotal part of that album. It's funny that it was like kind of a last minute thought that you.
Yeah. And meant to be the most brutal and fast.
Right, yeah.
Song, and then it was like the most soulful song. And it's like, sometimes, and it's great. Like songs, they just come out, and they take on their own life. It's wild. It's really wild.
Yeah, the magic of songwriting.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought of like working with Tommy Bolin again, like doing another Warlock album at some point?
We didn't talk about whole album or Warlock album, but we worked on our last album together. That was a double album, Forever Warriors, Forever United, and we did many things together. And we did this song, If I Can't Have You, No One Will, and it was a duet with Johan Heck of Amon Amarth. So we did it together, and Tommy played on the last album, and Turn It Up, he put like really cool ideas in the song. And so but we never thought of a whole Warlock album. Actually, we celebrated Triumph and Agony live, but we didn't even plan on recording it. And luckily, it was recorded many times. But Sweden Rock was the one. And then we thought, let's see what we can do. And we're working on a new album. On a new album. So we'll see. But a whole Warlock album, I don't know. It would be nice, but I don't know yet. Yeah.
So you said you were working on a new album. How far along are you? And is there anything you can tell us about, anything different about the way that you're approaching the songwriting? Has the pandemic affected, your writing at all with this one?
Actually. Last year, I wanted to record a new album. Then we started, like doing the songs, and then everybody was stuck in their country, and travel restrictions, and and it was unbelievable, and we couldn't tour anymore. So we had like many gigs, festivals, like 2 America tours, 1 European tour, South America. So when everything fell through, I did one best of album. It's called Magic Diamonds. And I started out, doing like, I thought maybe my 15 favorite songs I want to put on. And then it was 25 and 35 and 45 and then 56. And then that's the one I want to show you. And it's a big package. And it's like best of rock, ballads, and rare treasures. And then I weeded through all the archives and live footage, and I found Make Time for Love. And that was actually, the first time I thought, the song of the Triumph and Agony album, that sounds good. So when we knew we couldn't tour this year like we planned, and we postponed everything for this year, and I thought, I want to go back and check out, what we have. And then I saw the nice Triumph and Agony footage. So, but we planned on touring, but the deal. It was like, man, COVID was that was strange. But for me, it was actually pretty good. I always kept busy. I was always in the studio and enjoying, what we recorded and enjoying all the songs. I never listened to any songs or records we recorded. I was always like looking, forward, like the next gig, the next tour.
Right.
And that was actually pretty good. And yeah, and it kept me going, like, listening to good music and, and this Triumph and Agony live album, we recorded it before COVID and you could feel the fans. Everybody was having such a great time. So I was full of energy every time I was in the studio mixing or recording and stuff. And then I went outside and it was a ghost town. Nobody on the street. Sometimes I got stopped by the police and they said, "Hey, where are you from?" Or where you want to go? Because, it's a total lockdown. And I said, "Well, I was working." And I said, "Yeah, 4:00 in the morning. What are you working?" And I said, "Well, I'm a musician. We always work at night." And then I said, "Oh, we are?" And I said, yes. I'm Doro and we are working on our Warlock, Triumph and Agony live album. And all the police people, they all knew, like, the music and, and then they let me go. But it was weird in the studio, like, the total, like, wow, such a high. And then going outside and it was like, wow, scary. And now we played the first festivals, like the last couple of weeks. We played lots of open air gigs and now we're going to play in England. It's called Rocking the Bowl and we're headlining on a Saturday. It's Sheffield. So but it's hard, like, to go from one country to another. And since all the guys in the band, they're from all over the world. So wow, it's like, the tour manager has his hands full, like, that we all are getting there.
Yeah, even in the best of times, that would be hard to coordinate all that. But yeah, with all the different restrictions and rules, and each country's got their own rules, and they keep changing month to month. And man,
changing from week to week or day to day, and but it's good, like, to play live. Oh man, I feel so happy that everything is opening up again, but they're so strict rules sometimes, you have to, you have to play by the rules. And we did many beach chair open airs and people are sitting in beach chairs. They are so far away and it's like 10 times more work, to get everybody excited and, but it's good. It's good practice. So 2 weeks ago, we did a festival in Belgium. That was the Alcatraz Festival, and it was a totally normal festival. You needed to have either you got tested or vaccinated and or survived the COVID thing. So, everybody was there and it felt like a normal festival and that was so good. And we were all like ready to roll because, we had all these other, like the special gigs. And last year we did some drive-in shows, some auto kino shows.
I remember
there
that.
was a lot of fun too, and it was like totally different, and not to compare with the normal, sweaty club gig, but it was good. It was good, and everybody had a great time, and and I was so glad that we could keep it going, like keep the band going, the road crew, everybody was like, so so we are not rusty, we are ready to go, whatever, and, that's pretty good. And and then to connect with the fans, that's like, that's for me, that's so important, I live for that. And it was, but it's different times.
That's one thing I've always admired about you is you've never stopped working. It seems like it's like you're always working on a new album or doing a tour, and even during this past, year and a half, when a lot of people just, stayed home or just didn't do anything, you're still out there doing shows and working on this new live release and everything. So
I always try to keep busy, then you will have no chance to get depressed or stuff, and like, and I like working on something, and I always have the fans in the back of my mind, and then I know, I can do something for people who might love it and who might feel like, it gives them good energy and power, and especially through these heavy times. Have
there ever been a time when you felt like you needed to just take a break? Like, have you ever taken like like maybe a month off or a couple months off, just recharge?
No, it never dawned on me, never crossed my mind. Sometimes after a long tour, I need a couple of days because I'm in a total coma. I'm like so like dead, and then sometimes I slept, I think 48 hours. People thought, I'm dead, but I was just so exhausted. So sometimes touring can be so hard, like while you're doing it, everything is cool, but as soon as you stop, oh man, it's like, and but I never took a vacation, and I never thought like I wanted to. It was like I rather enjoy why we're still here, and I can sleep when I'm dead, and it's
right. It's kind
quite
of the Lemmy
yeah.
attitude. I like that.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, when we worked in the studio a couple of times. The last time we did one duet, it was on our Raise Your Fist album, and the song was called It Still Hurts, and that was our last duet. But I always remember when we were working in the studio and we were done, done for the night. And then, I said, shall I drive you home? He said, no, why? And I said, okay. He said, just drive. And we were driving all night and, and like listening to music. Lemmy was singing, smoking, having, some whiskey. And I was just driving, enjoying it. And then sometimes early in the morning, we went straight back into the studio, and Lemmy would never sleep, never. And I was sometimes so exhausted. I thought, Lemmy, I think I need, like at least 2 hours. And he said, yeah, you can lay down, and he said, well, you can, like come to my apartment, and then I was like, sleeping for 2 hours, and then I woke up and he was still going, he was always reading books. He was in the living room, like, and then he said, are you ready? And I said, yeah, let's go back into the studio. So yeah, he was like, wow, 24 hours. And yeah, I need some sleep. I must say, I could do it like Lemmy. I sometimes need, like even in our tour bus, I always, need some sleep too, because the voice always needs a little rest, so yeah. But yeah. But whatever it takes, whatever it takes. Sometimes you don't get any sleep, then it's okay too.
So I know it's always hard to predict the future at this point with everything going on, but after these shows in England, what do you have lined up for the rest of the year?
Yeah, actually, there's so many gigs scheduled. We do another tour in England with Michael Schenker in October. I hope this will go, will go through, and then we do, France and Poland and Belgium and Germany, and but numbers are going up, so I guess every city, every country, it's so we're hoping that everything can go as planned, but I'm flexible, and and everybody needs to be safe. That's the most important thing. So, and I know sometimes of these small sweaty clubs, they don't have any air conditioning, no air filters, so and so we are just looking into it. I would love to play, but if it's too dangerous, then we will postpone for the third time, and then next year we will tour the States and hopefully play all the festivals, and there's a cruise in the making, and and all that good stuff. So
I think I'm run over time here, but I just want to ask a real quick question that I've been asking everybody, just for a fun question. What would you consider to be your favorite Black Sabbath album, and why?
The one with Ronnie James Dio.
Heaven and Hell?
Yes, that was actually my last gig with Ronnie. We did like a couple of tours together. Like the last great one was like in 2000 with Ronnie James Dio in the States. It was long, it was awesome. And my last gig was actually opening up for Heaven and Hell in Germany.
Oh,
we had great plans. We wanted to do another America tour together. We were talking about it. And this album, yes, that's yeah, I love Ronnie so much, and he was my main inspiration. And so yeah.
Amazing guy. Well, I don't want to keep you too long, so I just want to say thank you again for taking the time to do this, and just for being out there and keeping the metal spirit alive.
Thank you. Yeah. Same back at you. Thank you for supporting, especially that, the new wave of British heavy metal stuff. And when I see Saxon, I played many times with Saxon, and my heroes still are. And
oh, that's so good. So good. Yeah.
I still love all the bands I used to love in the 80s. I still oh man, I get so much motivation, inspiration. And I was so blessed that I could tour with all my favorite bands in the world. Like, first tour was Priest, and then Wasp, and then Ronnie James Dio, Megadeth in the States, and then Motorhead, Saxon, Scorpions, everybody. And man, I was the lucky one, I tell you. And I could learn from all these great bands and musicians. Right. So then thank you for having me, and and
good luck with everything.
Triumphant Agony Live, we celebrate 35th anniversary. So, my God, seems really like yesterday. And
can't wait to see the Blu-ray. That's gonna be awesome.
Yes, and we have great box sets too. And like there's this Warlock figurine I show you. That's a prototype, and it's it's coming. And that nice box set, that's the thing. And then the Blu-ray, the CD, and the Warlock, the Warlock figurine,
wow.
I always wanted to have something since I'm a big Kiss fan, that's I always have a nice figurine as well, and now here it is, and and we even have cassettes, box sets with patches, cassette, and so all for people who like old school stuff and collecting, and of course vinyl and all the stuff we loved in the 80s, so I wanted to bring that back for this album. And
that's cool. I like the cassette thing. I've kind of gotten back into collecting those again too, so that's pretty cool to see.
I even bought a cassette player, and I have so many cassette players, but they're all old, and I bought a new one. That's look how cute that is.
Oh wow.
So nice. And you get patches for your battle vest and all that good stuff, and all that good stuff. So for diehard fans, and so I just wanted to say that before I leave you, and I hope I see you on tour and see you soon in America. And
if you make it to Seattle, I will definitely be there. So
it's a while ago that we played in Seattle, so I can't wait to go back. And
nice.
Okay, then.
All right.
Thank you, and have a good one. Stay healthy. Metal. Okay.
Stay safe.
Thank you. Be safe too.
All right.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.